And welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Go ahead and get right in here, head to the tracking station. There's been a lot of developments recently in Kerbal Space Program, or more specifically in terms of mods for Kerbal Space Program. You've probably heard about the recent development of not one, but two docking mods. In case you haven't, I will leave the link to the forum threads for each of those in the description. And I'll be honest with you, I did spend some time, actually quite a bit of time earlier, trying to record an episode that featured the docking mod and used it, and I had a really horrible time with it. I had spent a lot of work, a lot of time just trying to get one ship to meet up with another. I had all kinds of disasters and problems along the way. I finally got a ship up into orbit and closed that video out, and that's when Audacity gave me the blue ring of death. And if you're on Windows 7, you probably know what the blue ring of death is. This is that little spinning ring while the program itself gets this whiteout over it, and it just simply stops responding, and you end up having to close it and lose the data it had. And yes, I know it's possible technically to recover the sound files from a crashed Audacity session, but let's face it, that's more work than it's worth. Unless you've got something particularly spectacular, that's more work than it's worth. So, I'm going to try again. By the way, when I was doing that, I did go ahead and try a rendezvous mission to rendezvous with the station that I had put up in that other backup. I've since restored a backup of my persistent file, so it's not there. But I did finally get a ship up to try to rendezvous with it, and the best I could do was to get within 3.5 kilometers. And apparently that was not close enough for the docking mod to take over and handle the details of docking. So, with that in mind, I'm going to do something here. Another problem I've had is that this station, I have tried to record this particular video no less than 3 times. Each time the program crashes shortly after I have something to do with this station. So I'm thinking there's a problem with it, and it needs to come down and be replaced. So I'm going to take this monstrosity down, and we're going to put something up that isn't quite so complicated, hasn't quite got so many struts all over it, and maybe something that isn't using aircraft parts attached to a rocket. Let's see, where are we in the orbit? Periapsis, we need to get around to apoapsis, which is hugely high. If we get around to apoapsis, we'll be high enough up that we can probably use the thrusters to deorbit this thing, which is a good thing because it doesn't have a main engine. So let's just accelerate the time. Get around here to apoapsis. Be sure to give plenty of lead time so that I have time to get oriented. That's good. Okay. Let's get this sort of cool looking, but really quite not very useful station turned around, retrograde, and we will use the thrusters to deorbit the thing. Okay, coming around. And now if it will just stop, yes, I know I could use the thrusters to make turning easier, but I want to use all the fuel for deorbit. Okay, let's confirm my position here. We are 1 minute, or a little less than a minute from apoapsis. And let's just, okay, we appear to be stable. Fine tune our position just a little bit. That's good. I don't imagine it matters too much. If we're off a little bit, big deal. All right. SAS off. That on, and we thrust. Periapsis is coming down. Slowly, but it's coming down. Okay, down to 70. If I recall correctly, if we can get this down to, well, pretty much anything below 60, the thing will eventually aerobrake itself down. It's wanting to drift all over the place. Alright, how are we doing here? Periapsis is down to 67. And all just using some thrusters. But only because we're so far up that our velocity is low enough for that to actually work. And I'll just burn up all the RCS fuel in braking. Get that periapsis down as low as possible, and then this thing will deorbit. And we'll have Jebediah back on the ground, and perhaps he will fly the revised space station design. And I will go ahead and put parts on it from that docking mod in the off chance that maybe, possibly, we might manage to actually successfully dock, assuming we can get something resembling a circular orbit. This ship didn't have a circular orbit, and it would have been a royal pain in the butt to rendezvous with. And another thing I want to work on is a payload lifter, something that is capable of lifting reasonably heavy payloads to bring cargo up to this station. Because the Spacedock is all fine and dandy, but without an inventory, it's kind of useless. Okay, periapsis down to 56,000. And we're almost out of RCS fuel. Got a few pixels left. And I think what I'm going to do right now is that I've managed to get a little bit of work done that was kind of in the way of things. Okay, we're out of RCS fuel. All right. And so I've decided that even though it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to go ahead and spend some time working on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep going, taking occasional breaks to save the Audacity file that I'm using to record my voice, and just keep going for as long as I can, and then I'll just cut this whole thing into 25 or 30 minute episodes, and we'll have plenty of content. And I will try to refrain from uploading 4 and 5 of them in one day. I realize that Kerbal Space Program fans appreciate that, but it also puts me at a difficult position for content. Okay. Our apoapsis should be coming down. Let's have a look up close. See if we can bring it heads up. If I can only remember which key brings it up, would be helpful. Okay. I'm hoping this will deorbit the thing. It should. The apoapsis should drop at least a little bit every time. And the periapsis should continue to drop as well. Which means that sooner or later it will re-enter. And let's hope that somebody is at the controls to jettison Jebediah's capsule and activate his parachute in time. Otherwise, that could be ugly. Which is why I think I'm just going to ride this out and cut back into the video when he's due for re-entry. And that will give me an opportunity to save my Audacity file and prevent problems from arising there. So I'll be back. Alright, it's been rather a while. It's been actually about 6 or 7 passes, I forget which. But the periapsis is finally down to 19,000 kilometers and dropping fast. The apoapsis is at 47,000, which means that this is the last pass, as we will soon see the periapsis sink into the planet and the ship will come down. And that's none too soon, because it's taken quite a while at real time. Granted, I was using time acceleration as much as I could, but that was only from the time it went above 70,000 to the time it came back down below 70,000. The time it spent below 70,000 in altitude had to be endured in real time. And like I said, about 6 or 7, maybe 8 passes, that adds up to quite a bit of time. So, this thing is finally coming down, and soon, the looks of it, probably out here in the eastern edge of that ocean somewhere, just shy of the daylight terminator. So this mission will finally be over, and we can move on to bigger and better things, like getting a better Spacedock put up in a much better orbit, one that we can actually reach and rendezvous with. What a concept. Okay, yes, this thing is definitely coming down this time around, and it's well past about time. I would time accelerate, but I can't. So I will leave the recording going this time, and I will just simply fast forward the video to touchdown. I suppose this would be a good time to go ahead and jettison some stuff. Well, those parts went flying quite a ways. And as Jebediah touches down, mission is over with, and we learn that aerobraking is a good maneuver. It does work, and you can start a reentry with thrusters, but it's liable to take a while. And now let's start a new ship. And let's see. Okay, this part makes the ship a Spacedock. Okay, what else do we got in here? This is the docking ship parts. Okay, for a station, we need to have docking targets. And it needs to have the computer system. And I want one of these on here. If only for better flight control. Let's see. Regular plain old vanilla coupler. Let's see. Advanced SAS and not just one or even two, but 4 RCS tanks. And RCS thrusters. Okay, so here's our upper stage. It's got the docking stuff, and oh, wait a minute, we need the part that makes it a Spacedock. There, now it's a Spacedock. And we can just pretend that empty fuel tanks will be storage. Or something like that. And now, just build a launch vehicle underneath of it. Let's see. Let's see here. Thrust vectoring engine here. Those here. It looks kind of uneven. That's better. Alright, let's go ahead with our fuel line. And its complementary strut. That should hold that. I'm not sure how good of an idea this is, but I'm going to strap on a couple of solid boosters to help get it off the ground. Okay. And of course, we strutify this too. Okay. That looks sort of reasonable. Launch stability enhancers. Okay. There you are. First one separates the solids. This one separates the liquid tanks. This one separates the actual station stage. Okay. Spacedock 2. Yeah, I know, it's a wonderfully original name. Well, let's go with it. Alright, get this out of the way. It looks like Jebediah is on staff today. I'm going to try to avoid using any more of that. We're going for a nice, simple, circular orbit, say 100 kilometers. Alright. Okay. End the flight, and let's go back to the drawing board and see where I screwed up on the staging. Yeah. That's better. Let's try this again. It would be nice if the Spacedock inventory window would remember where you put it. Alright. Let's go. Doing good so far. Nice and clean ascent. Solid boosters are out of the way. Staying nice and stable. No rotation. Start our turn. That was nice and easy. Staging wasn't quite right on those, but it finally cut loose. I'll have to check that out in the VAB next time. Okay, good ascent. Apoapsis up to 49.50. Up to 70. Very good. Going for 100 this time. It would be nice if the orbit had a nice low or as like zero inclination, but I can see that's not happening. Apoapsis 109. A little higher than I'd hoped for, but it can be corrected.